I thank you that I know who I am, what I want, where I'm going, and how to get there. I thank you for blessing me with a soul family that sees me, knows me, loves me, guides me, corrects me, and protects me along this journey. I thank you for everything inside of me and everything that surrounds me. I thank you for everything I've been, everything I am, everything I will be. I thank you for everything I've gone through, everything I'm going through, and everything I will get through. I thank you, and in your powerful, wonderful, amazing, and precious name I pray. Amen. What is up, creations and creators? I am Patrice Renee of Divine Operation University, aka Do You, a learning environment for all of us world changers who are tired of supposed to, where we create the lives that are really on our hearts and in the process leave the world more beautiful than we found it. Welcome back, y'all. It is Sunday clarity time. I am so happy to be here. I don't know, let's close it in a little bit. Showing a whole lot of, but yeah, I don't have a whole, I guess I was gonna make a comment on my appearance, right? I should have brought my fuck it pills because that tends to be what distracts me whenever I do these lives. I get kind of caught up in what it is that I look like, even though, I have time to prepare and make it more polished if I were to choose to do so. But I make the conscious decision not to come on here all dolled up and stuff because that's not authentic to me. This is what I look like most days. Obviously, when I leave the house, I might, put on some better clothes, maybe, but for the most part, this is what you get. I don't do much of anything to my hair. I don't do all the makeup and stuff so much anymore. I think maybe occasions that call for it, I would do that, but for the most part, what you see is what you get. So I try to remain as that authentic whenever I do anything on the internet, just because I want to be a part of that collective, right? So everything that I do is meant for me to step into the world that I want to exist in, right? And I would rather be in a world where I can be myself, if that is my choice, where this is not me saying like I'm anti whatever anyone else is doing, so long as it's authentic to them. I don't want to feel like I have to present myself a very specific way in order for me to get in order for me to fulfill my mission. I don't want to feel like I have to do it in a certain way, because then once I get there, will it have been because of the mission itself or because of all of the ornamentation I put on or all the extra things that I put onto that? And I understand some people say use what you got to make it easier for you. But I think within myself, within my spirit, I don't know if it'll be easier in the end when it comes to unpacking things, or even in the end, right? Once I get to one destination, will that truly be the end? Who knows? But when I get there, I want to say that I did it in the way that's authentic to me. So this is authentic to me currently, and that doesn't mean that that's going to always be the case. How's that? I think that speaks to one of the topics that I had to talk about, but I guess we can get to that in a little bit. First, I gotta ask you, how has your week been, honey? Like, what y'all been up to? What's been going on? Let me know, because my week has been kind of a roller coaster. I think after talking to y'all last week, I felt pretty good about the live. It wasn't my favorite, but it didn't go badly or anything like that. And so I felt like I was on a high. I left you guys with our practical practice being to brainstorm. And so my brainstorming led me to creating a schedule for myself for this week. And essentially, I went about creating a daily schedule that I knew would shift and morph throughout the week, as far as completing every single task that I had put in the schedule, that I made space for within the schedule through the week, because each day was different. Each day required something else. But I was able to I at least had an idea about the week of which days would be the most different. So I made them like, I had like a coloring system of green, yellow, and red. So green days were completely following the schedule. Yellow days is where I had to shift some things, and red days, or I had scheduled to make some changes. And then red days were days where I completely just dropped the ball, right? That was my idea at the start of the week. Now, as I went through that, it didn't even go that well, right? I accounted for changes and differences in the schedule, and I still wasn't able to follow through as strictly with that as I had hoped. But I still feel good about the week, and it was as a result of, you know, emotional things that might have come up, and ultimately that's really what it was. Just feeling the feelings in the moment took precedence over completing certain tasks. So that I'm going to try again this week, you know. If at first you don't succeed, try again. But I'm definitely wanting to try again with the schedule, because I think I'm kind of onto something as far as doing these little power hours, as I call them. So I have 4 hours blocked off where I'm just, each hour is a different area of pursuit, right? So if y'all know my 5 pillars, it's light, life, love, and the pursuit of happiness. And pursuit refers to career and finance, or things that you are going after, right? And so in that, I'm putting all things do you, all things BBH, all things that are the things that I'm going after, the things that I believe are connected to my mission, are connected to my heart's desire, are things that are going to help to solidify my foundation or fortify my foundation. And so let's breathe. Why don't we? And so I wanted to break that down even further for myself and where I'm at with that in this moment. And so I applied that to those 4 hours. And so we have an hour where we are focusing on marketing. We have an hour where we're focusing on whatever product it is that we're wanting to push at this moment in time. Clearly, I wasn't working too closely to the schedule, because I can't think of what the other 2 are right now in this moment. But outside of that was another few hours of just sewing or being creative in some way, because I think I really need to schedule that in order to prioritize it, especially because I want it to be a part of my lifestyle. It's really hard to explain things. I was literally just thinking about this before I pressed record. The fact that the way that I live my life, or that I'm wanting to live my life, is holistically. So while I try my best to compartmentalize so that I can be organized, it's very difficult to separate things because they're all so interconnected. So when I talk about being creative, that is a part of pursuit, because I would love to be an artist by trade. I would love to be able to sell all of my creations or trade, barter my creations. I would love to be able to live off of what I create and make. That is the goal. That is my desire. That is truly what I'm pursuing, or one of the things I'm pursuing. So scheduling in the creativity is, on the one hand, self-care, because that is my outlet and why I would love for that to be how I make my living. But because it is how I want to make my living, it's also work, right? So I do need to prioritize it, not just for myself and my outlet, but because I want to fortify my foundation. I need to do more in order to become, in order to be able to more fully express myself. And even just saying that statement comes with a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers that would need to be peeled back in order for you all to fully understand where I'm coming from with that too. So it's hard to have these conversations when everything when you're aware of how interconnected everything is. And it's hard for me to explain things to people. I keep having people ask me, how do you do this, that, and the third? Whatever it is that they're asking me that day. And I think they feel overwhelmed or annoyed or something. At least that's my assumption based on their response. But they feel something by my answer that's like 3 paragraphs long, and that is still the abridged version, right? So I'm offering you the shortest answer I can think of from where I stand right now, as far as how I came to the conclusion that this is the way that I'm going to move right now, right? Or how I was able to get to where I am right now. Hoping, right, that they're going to ask questions so that I can give them more information and more details. But I've been learning that part of the reason why my communication is lacking, at least in my mind, is because I want to give everything all at once. And that's essentially impossible. So I have to learn to give the most pertinent information, or what my spirit tells me, or the first thing that comes to mind, or what my body tells me is what this person needs to hear, or what I need to say out loud in this moment in time, and then be hopeful and prayerful that that starts a conversation and a dialogue, or opens the door to them feeling as though they can come back to me for more information. But understanding that all of the information that I have isn't meant for everyone to have all of that information just because I have it, or at the time that I have it. I have to believe that my soul family will get and give information as it is needed. When it comes to me. Now, some people are assigned to being able to communicate giant chunks of information all at once, and the people that are connected to them are able to take it in and understand it and do what they need to do with it. But I don't think that myself or my people are there yet, or maybe not even on that mission, but I don't know that quite yet. I just know that I need to work through for myself, breadcrumbing, I guess. Microdosing was my word last year, and this is my first time thinking of it probably since last year. So maybe I was taking it as me needing to microdose or take in small pieces of information or work on the baby steps and stuff, and maybe the next phase of that, the next layer of that is microdosing the information that I have out to other people, or the skills that I have out to other people, or the product that I have out to other people. Like I'm someone who very much, like I said, I want to give you everything I have all at once. Now that, for whatever reason, seems to also include ideas when it comes to me, like I was telling you before about pursuing this creative endeavor. That includes ideas. So I keep telling myself, oh, I can't upload anything to Etsy until I complete these other projects that I have in the back of my mind. And I feel as though what I'm learning currently is that I need to accept that what I have right now and what I have to offer right now, what I'm being told to put out there right now, is enough. And the rest will fill in the gaps as it comes to be, as opposed to trying to put a stop in the flow, like clog up the drain. This is how I'm seeing it. Thanks a lot, Avatar. Seeing it clog up the fountain and stop the flow so that I can collect all of the things that I want to collect and create all of the things that I want to create, and then open that door and say, okay, now you can flow, right? And that leaves everything beyond this point completely dry and destitute and, you know, not able to do what it needs to do. So essentially my desire to help in a bigger way is actually harming. Baby, this is called clarity for a reason. Okay, she's getting clear, she's getting an understanding. This is new information for me. You're catching it right here, right now, live and in session. Okay. So let's get into it. Speaking of Avatar, how come nobody told me that show was fire? Like, where have y'all been? How come nobody's been telling me these things? Like, I'm really enjoying watching the show, the cartoon from Nickelodeon. Yes, the Last Airbender. I started that this week and randomly. And the first season, it was good. It gave us some good insight. I got a little bit of information. But the second season has been very enlightening. I think they're getting more into the spiritual aspect of everything. Surprisingly, because it's the Earth chapter as opposed to first season being water. But yeah, I'm loving the talk of the 4 elements. And as I'm watching, I'm starting to try and make connections between the elements and the seasons. And I see that other people who are within this Avatar Last Airbender universe are doing the same thing. I see different posts and conversations where people are trying to do the same thing. And then I also had the thought about Harry Potter and the houses, and I see again that people are trying to mesh those 2 worlds together. So it's really fun to jump into programs that are already in session where people are already having these conversations and just kind of see how it leads people to similar through similar thought processes. It's really cool. But outside of my own thoughts and ideas, I think the information that's being presented in that show is really cool. And I love the way that they've done it. I wish that there were more than 3 seasons because I can already see that this could be a world that could just like open a lot of eyes. But I guess, again, the idea of what is enough, what exists currently is enough, and not needing to always have more and more and more, and just allowing what it currently exists to flow. Because you know, the people who watched it, when they watched it, they got the info and the insight and the connection that they needed to get when it first came out. I myself am coming in late, but still gaining the same insight and information from this fountain that continuously flows, that continuously gives what it needs to give based on what exists just in those 3 seasons, right? So just watching season 2, I'm asking for more, and I already have gotten so much out of 1 season, right? So that kind of ties into what I was talking about earlier, just this feeling of like, okay, what you have currently is enough, and more will come out of that if you allow it to. But if you're blocking it and not even letting what you have flow, then obviously nothing else can grow of that. As I'm seeing it, of course, like I said, it's a fountain because I was watching Avatar in the last episode that I watched. Aang was working with a guru in trying to reach Avatar state and control it. And he had to work through his 7 chakras. And so they depicted that with a fountain that had these like 7 pools that were interconnected with just like a waterfall in between. And at the top, it is essentially him as the avatar being the tributary or the source that sends the water or the information or the knowledge and wisdom and creative projects or whatever it is that you want to call it, sends it down the pipeline through the person that is Aang, so that he can harness his power and fulfill his mission, right? And so I know that that's what's happening in each of us. And so we have to be open to that. You can apply it to the person itself and have those 7 pools, or like I was just doing, have the 3 pools of the 3 seasons of the show, right? Whatever it is that you're thinking about. So maybe I have the 2 pools of the 2 different pursuits that I believe are for me, and I have to allow each of them to be open and unblocked and just flow into myself, into the people that I want to reach, into the world itself, because I believe that what it is that I'm doing with each of those things is shifting our collective energy. It's changing our world right before our very eyes. So yeah, just trying to be more open is the goal at the end of the day, I think. What else? That being said, I find myself clearing my cachet of projects. And this isn't on necessarily a doing more situation so much as I have these things in the back of my mind that are the blockages. Or even if it is me making them the blockages because I'm saying, oh, I have to do more. I'm actively clearing these things, right? So that's the most exciting and important part for me, and the thing that I want to take away and the thing that I want to put out there. Sorry, we have a guest at the door. Yeah, so I'm actively clearing these things. And so I feel really good about this past week overall, in that I felt the emotional roller coaster. It did kind of seemingly knock me off my game because I didn't quite follow the schedules that I had planned, but I don't feel behind at all because, like I said, I've been able to clear out some of the projects, clear out some of the thoughts, just clean house a little bit more. And literally and figuratively, I have definitely taken some time to clean up my space as well and get it more in line with what I believe is rightfully mine and how I want things to be. So all things are coming up aces for Patrice. I cannot complain about this past week, even though I had some down moments, a little fallout with my sister. Not a little fallout, it was a pretty big one. But we're, you know, working our way back to our normal. A little bit of a physical ailment. Let me get my tea now that I'm talking about it. Because not only am I really cold today, but a little bit of a sore throat, and I managed to, again, holistically work through that. And the making of the tea is what prompted me to think about the whole holistic nature and how I work through things holistically. So I was telling one of my friends that I told him that I had a sore throat. And so later in the week, he was asking me about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm feeling a whole lot better. I actually I was reading my Heal Your Body book, which talks about the mental connection to your physical ailments. And it has a bunch of affirmations inside for many different ailments that you might feel and the mental connection to that. So I said the affirmations that were associated with your throat and and having a sore throat. And by the end of the day, the swelling that I had in what I believe to be my lymph nodes had gone down. The scratchiness in my throat had subsided. I felt so much better. But I only told him about the affirmations. As I sat and thought about it, I also had spoken out loud the night before doing the affirmations. I had spoken out loud and had some conversations with people, I guess, with the energy of different people. How's that? Saying things that I felt like were on my heart, that I felt like I might have been holding in. I wasn't being completely and fully honest about these things. And so I had those conversations. I did a lot of crying in that moment. And then I went to sleep and I woke up. I still felt the scratchiness. I sat outside for a little bit and I got myself some throat soothing tea. So to me, all of those things were a conscious effort to heal my sore throat. And by the end of the day, I felt as though I had. And So to me, that is holistically healing. I did some things that affected my mind. I did some things by having that conversations. Maybe that's even spiritual by having those conversations. Mindset was the affirmations. And then physical body was drinking the tea to address the symptoms, right? So to me, if someone were to ask me later on down the line, oh, how did you heal your sore throat? I would have to offer them all three of those things, right? So in my mind, I would have to tell them all three of those things. But I think in the moment, as I did with my friend, the first thing that comes to mind, or the thing that speaks to me the most in that moment, should be the thing that I offer. Now that I have all three things on my mind and interconnected at this point, I realize that each of those things were a part of the healing journey for me. I may offer all three, but I'll leave that up to the moment. How's that? But like I said, the same can be said for how I lost weight, or how I've managed to shift into like a vegetarian and moving towards vegan lifestyle, or even practicing celibacy. That was a question I was asked recently. So, you know, all of it requires elements from mind, body, and spirit, because like I said, I'm working towards living a holistic lifestyle. I'm living a holistic lifestyle. Even though things aren't perfect, I definitely, for the most part, try to address the mind, body, and spirit of it all, which is why I am collecting so many books at this point, because your mind is not just your thoughts, but the information that you take in, as well as your spirit. What are you consuming? What are you taking in? And those things attribute to your overall health at the end of the day. So because I'm trying to eat healthy physical food and spiritual food and mental food, those things also contribute to my health and my strength in the ability to maintain certain disciplines, right? Now, do I need to work on that as far as my productivity and scheduling? Yes, of course, but we're not there yet, because we're going to talk about productivity today, because that's on my list. That's number 2 on the list. Do we want to just get into it? Okay, let's just get into it. You said it, not me. Let's go. So, what is productivity? What even is it? Where did it come from? Where did we get that? Why are we so worried about being productive and producing and making things happen for the benefit of what, right? Same friend that asked about my health. Thank you, friend. I appreciate you. We were having a conversation where I was saying, you know, I don't know that I even want to use productive anymore. There was a time when I'm like, okay, I definitely don't want to be a consumer anymore. I don't want to just consume. I don't want to, between the two, we can be a consumer or a producer. You can be someone who just takes and uses and, yeah, you're just someone who takes, right? And the alternative is a producer, someone who creates, someone who gives, who puts things out into the world, right? So I was saying, okay, between being a consumer and a producer, I'm going to lean more towards production, because I just want to create. That's my word. That's what I do. So I just want to put things out into the world. I don't want to be someone who takes all the time. And so I'm trying my best to consume less, but it's everywhere. It's so hard. And as I've said, I'm someone who believes I need more in order to do what's already in me to do. So I do have a problem with, when it comes to my projects, needing to start a new project, which requires me to buy new things, right? I do have that issue, and I'm actively working on it. But outside of that, my ultimate goal is to lean more into being a producer. But now, as I enter into that space, it's like, okay, does this even feel comfortable for me either? As well, also? Is this also uncomfortable? I don't know how to ask the question. it stays in my mind. I don't have to find words. I know what I mean. It's good. Do I want to be a producer? Do I want to be productive all the time? Do I want to be producing all of the time? And I think the reason why this question is coming up is because I do struggle with being productive in the way that we're told that productivity exists, right? So you have to be doing every day. If you're not working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, then what are you doing, right? I think as I'm saying it now and connecting it with the conversation that we've just had, it feels very much like my productivity needs to lean more holistically. So we talked about it being mind, body, and spirit as one of the definitions of holistic, right? I think when I think of holistic, I guess holistic with an H, mind, body, and spirit. Holistic, as they've kind of transitioned it with the W at the top, being whole, the whole. We can also talk about different parts, other subsets of parts that come together to create the whole. But we won't go there. Let's stick with mind, body, and spirit. And y'all can transpose that onto whatever it is that you need to transpose it onto. That's your homework. Okay, so if my production became holistic, I would then recognize that I'm producing within the spirit. I'm producing within the mind. I'm producing without the body, right? I'm taking things out, or putting things out into the world, like we said, right? Giving. So those things happen in the physical world, the production with the body. So essentially, when I say that I'm not being productive, I'm completely dismissing what's happening in the mind and the spirit, because I just want to see the fruits of my labor as I've been told I would by this society. Right? So because I'm not making millions, or because I don't have the business that exists in a very specific way, or because I have not, I'm not doing 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, at least, at minimum, right, of backbreaking hard labor, then, or labor in general. I guess I can't say backbreaking hard labor, because people that sit at desks all day still count as being productive members of society, even if they're not on the chain gang or something. I guess chain gang isn't a good excuse because they were the prisoners, but you know, when I say hard labor, that's kind of where my mind goes. So anyway, y'all know what it is. So I have to accept that my productivity, if I'm living this holistic lifestyle, then also my output will be holistic, right? And so I'm going to continue to work through my struggle with this word productivity and producing and what I produce. And I think what that's going to look like moving forward is accepting that I may be able to do the 8 hours a day, 5 days a week sometimes, or even 8 hours a day, 2 days a week. And then 2 days will be devoted to mental production. And then 2 days will be devoted to spiritual production. And then I have a day to rest, right? Maybe that's what it looks like. And so I have to accept within myself that what I get done in those 2 days, taking it back to that flow, is enough, right? It is enough to flow into the mind and spiritual, the mental and spiritual pools that also need water, right? That also need the creativity, that also need my best, me in my best form, that need my strength, that need my clarity, that need whatever it is that I've that I've built up in myself to produce in the physical, my mind and my spirit also need me in that state in order to produce as well. So not to drain all of or channel all of that energy into what I can produce in the physical, or channel all of that appreciation into what I can produce in the physical solely, and learning to allow it to flow into each of those different levels, understanding that because I'm doing the mental and the spiritual production as well, that will then flow back into the physical and make that even better, making it so that I can produce even more, or the more that I want to produce within those 2 days, in a way that's, again, like we talked about at the top of the show, authentic to me, in a way that feels good to me, that feels healthy to me, and still manage to get to where it is that I want to get. It sounds to me like it's a practice of acceptance and patience, and just allowing what is to happen, allowing what is to be enough. That sounds like it's going to be my focus this coming week, my lesson this week, but we'll see what the cards say, because I'm going to do my own, tarot reading for the week. And then we also have Lil Homie and our meditation methods out. So we'll see what they say, if they coincide with that. And if you feel like that's something that you could work on or you could focus on, let me know too. I feel like we've talked a lot, and my incense is almost up. So let me see if I think I'm going to pause on that part of the show or our conversation, and let that be that. We just talked about the productivity. Of course, I always keep 5 in the chamber, so we have 4 left to talk about for next week. Maybe we'll see, but I think just that productivity piece, because it tied so beautifully back into everything that we talked about before, I think I just want to leave it there and let that be our conversation for today. We can pick up where we left off last week when we talked about, or when we were advised to practice mindful eating, to focus on our breathing, and to assess whether or not this was something we had to do alone. And this would be defined by you, whatever you decide this is. But I'm thinking that practicing mindful eating, where that led me to this past week, and also fasting came up, which those two kind of butt heads for me this week, because Friday is my fasting day traditionally. And I have not done that in quite some time, where I actually maintain my Friday fast. And I dance back and forth with what that means or what that looks like for me, because it's like, are you committed to this or not? And then I've also had instances where I felt I was using the fast to prove something, and I know that in and of itself is already not in alignment with what my journey speaks to. So I think I feel like that's going to be an ongoing battle for me, whether or not I'm going to maintain my Friday fast like I said I would. But despite that, the mindful eating part of things came up for me in my I think just paying attention to when I eat and why I eat, right? So even on Friday, when I decided that I was going to eat, I even wrote in my journal, like, okay, I made a conscious decision not to fast today because I was hungry and I wanted to eat. And afterwards, I felt like, okay, I'm not satisfied. And I knew that was going to happen prior to. So the fact that I was thinking about all these things as they happened, and I saw what was correct and what was incorrect or whatever, really my thought process was not incorrect to what actually transpired. And one could say that the two were interconnected, because I thought that that's how it would end. That's how it ended. But also because I just learned from my experiences, and this is a cycle that I've been on for quite some time. So I think I'm slowly but surely learning from these decisions, but making the mindful, conscious decisions, I think, is how you will learn from it, right? And how you start to shift the patterns. So I think it was beneficial for me to choose to not follow the fast this Friday, even though I might find reasons as to why it wasn't, to my detriment, or you know, not what I was supposed to do. I can definitely find reasons as to why that's the case, but being on my positive kick, I think maybe I should look at it as a benefit and as something that I did consciously, and see what comes of that. Because I don't want to feel guilty all the time, right? Like I would like to just be here. I want to be a human being, right? So sometimes I'm just going to choose to do that. Come what may. And then the focusing on the breathing, I think that's something that I do quite often, and maybe the thing that's coming up to me right now as I say that is the idea of, like, where are you in life? Are you in an inhale season or an exhale season? And that's something that I've talked about in a previous live, which the details of aren't coming to me currently. So maybe it's left for you to interpret however you see fit. When I say, are you in an inhale season or an exhale season? Are you drawing things in, taking stuff in? That maybe going back to consumer and producer. Are you taking things in? Are you consuming? Are you drawing stuff in as far as information, ideas, experiences, whatever? Or are you pushing things out, expanding, reaching far beyond where you are currently, seeing outside of your current situation, looking to your future? Oh, that also makes me think of uncovers and discovers, and this random idea that I had the other day as far as how that connects to flat earth and round earth. I think I'm gonna put that on TikTok. We'll see, because that might be a touchy one, but it's fun. Why not? Do you have to do it alone? Clearly not. I definitely have people in my life that love me and care for me, and so I don't want to do it alone. I think a major part of what I desire for myself and the life that I'm creating is community, and being able to lean on people and having people lean on me. I think there's so much independence in this world currently, and I think that's been to our detriment. That's been part of our downfall, is that we strive to do everything on our own as opposed to being able to lean on each other. And I think that's why a lot of us can't think of a world outside of capitalism. We can't think of a world where we don't do for money, because we think that money, or we find that money gives us our independence, right? So being able to work all day, every day gives you money so that you can buy your own place and take yourself on trips and vacations and feed yourself and all of these things. And we're willing to trade our time, energy, gifts, talents, abilities, mindset, everything that we work for. We trade it in for money, and then we can then trade that money for the things that we want out of life, as opposed to a life where we could stay at home and help to build up the home that we live in to the 2-story or 10-story, whatever. I don't know how people actually want to live there. Or we stay at home and we can help build up the home base that we have to be everything that we desire out of what we would buy for ourselves, or we build up the community that we live in to give us access to, you know, different food or experiences or talk education and things like that. Like, we could lean on each other and still live the lives that we desire. I've talked about this as well, because there are people who want to do all the things that we feel as though we need to live the comfortable life, or to continue to progress into the lives that we see in our futures and stuff like that. There are people that just want to do that for their lives. Like, I am a maker. I just want to be able to make, right? I just want to be able to craft and be creative and make art and stuff like that. And so if I didn't have to do that for money, I would still want to do that. And there are people who would just want creations because they're wanting to, you know, decorate the home that they're creating, or they just want clothes that are designed a specific way. And, you know, I could be the person to do that for them, and they could in turn give me, they could build furniture, or they could, I'm not in the mindset to think of what makes a society run at this moment in time, but the point is that there are people who just want to do a thing, and that's just like, if they could just do that without having to do it for money, or without having to think about their survival, without having to think about their safety and survival in order to do it comfortably or happily and joyfully and things like that, that's just what they would do, right? And so if we could get to a place as a society where people can just do what they want to do without their safety being at risk, without their what is the word I'm thinking of? Without having to risk having a roof over their heads and their comfort, or the future that they see for themselves, and that being comfortable. Like, if we could have all the things just because we're willing to lean on each other, then I think we would be in a much better place, in a happier world. We would all be happier and still have all the things. But because we are so focused on ourselves and we need to do it on our own, we feel as though this is something we have to do alone. I don't know how we'll get there, right? I don't know how we'll get there without leaning on each other and allowing each other to be what it is that we want to be and do what it is that we want to do. We have to just let each other do that, instead of condemning people for wanting to start that, for wanting to say, okay, I'll stay home and create a community. I prefer not to be the best, brightest, youngest, biggest to ever do it. I'd rather just do it and be happy. And then, because I have to survive, right, I'll take this menial job to subsidize my living expenses and stuff, and I'll live a more humble lifestyle so that I can live a happy life, right? Instead of thinking of that as lesser and lower, we should just allow people to do that instead of condemning them for it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But that's my thoughts on having to do things alone. I think community is the answer, and the answer is no, you don't have to do it alone. You do not have to do it alone. And so did y'all brainstorm? Did y'all work through any ideas? Like I said, my brainstorming led me to making this immaculate schedule that I did not completely follow. I did follow for a couple of days, and I got some things done, which I'm really excited about what's coming out of that. And like I said, I'm going to try it again. But for the most part, I would love to hear what y'all were brainstorming about. I know that my mom mentioned to me that she would be brainstorming ideas for parties that she wants to throw, like themes and the foods that would go along with those themes and stuff like that. She got really excited about it. So I'd love to hear what y'all were working on. And yeah, let's go ahead and pull some cards. My incense went out, so I know we've been at it for a minute. 10 minutes shy of an hour, which is perfect for me. So let's hear from Lil Homie first and see what questions, comments, concerns do we need to focus on this coming week. One at a time, please. As we get our cards, I think my practical practice for this week is going to be affirmations. Feel free to utilize affirmations this week. I think, like I said, they definitely helped me with my sore throat. Part of the process of helping me with my sore throat. Really what's happening is that you're shifting your mindset, you're shifting your thoughts to be something that's more in alignment with what you truly desire or believe for yourself in your life. You're going to start with what's out there, right? So go ahead and Google affirmations and see what already exists, or anything that you've heard somebody else say as an affirmation that really resonated with you. Start there, but then you want to customize it and turn it into something that really speaks to you and your truth, because the universe speaks truth. The important part is that you're being honest and you're speaking your truth out into the world, because the truth is the difference between what's happening in your mind currently and what it is that you're seeing and feeling and having happen to you in this world. There's a lie that's on your mind right now, whether you want to call it that or not, a half truth, a story, whatever the case, and then there is the truth. So speak from a place of truth and getting to truth, and then come on now, and then let that be what it is. So I said, customize it to fit what you truly believe currently, because it's about speaking from your current energy, what you're feeling right now. What is your truth currently in pursuit of the truth, right? The whole truth and nothing but the truth, right? So my example I have, if you were to start with, I know who I am, right? That's part of our prayer that we speak. I say, thank you. I thank you that I know who I am. So that itself, in and of itself, can be an affirmation. I know who I am. You see, look yourself in the eye in the mirror when you say that. I know who I am. But when you say that, you feel any bubbling up of doubt, then that is not your current truth, right? You don't feel as though you know who you are. And that's okay, because that's not going to be the case for everyone at any given moment. We all have to be on our journeys. So if you don't feel as though you know who you are, maybe you can say, I am learning who I am, right? That is a truth. You're actively seeking and learning who it is that you are. Depending on what level you are in your journey, or where you are in your journey, you could be learning who you are. And somebody else might tell you, oh, that's not true. You already know, it's in you. You have all of your truth in you. But if you're not there yet, right, then saying I know who I am doesn't connect to you. So it's not going to be the connection point to you pulling in whatever it is, like umbilical cords, right? Spiritual umbilical cords. Think of yourself as having this white light that comes out of your belly button and is going off into some foggy, distant area, right? And you can't see beyond the fog. You don't know what's out there, but you feel like something is connected to you. Just saying, I know who I am, and that's not connected to you, you have nothing to grab onto. Once you speak a truth, your current truth, then that light lights up, and then you can say, oh, there it is, and you start drawing in what the truth is, right? And maybe you will get to saying, I know who I am. That's the goal, the idea, possibly, but only you can say, right? It's your journey to speak on. So even if somebody else says, don't say I'm learning, whatever, you already know it's in you. If that light doesn't light up for you, you don't have anything to grab onto, that's not connected to you currently, right here, right now, then don't worry about what somebody else has to say, right? You are learning who you are. Or you can say, I want to know who I am. Maybe that's your truth. Maybe you haven't even gotten to the space of learning just yet, but you hear someone else say, I know who I am. And you're like, ooh, dang, I want to know who I am. Ding. Oh, snap. That's connected to me. Let me draw that in. Let me focus on that. Let me keep going with that, right? If you feel that connection point, that point of connection, then go ahead with that and let that be your affirmation. Affirm that. Speak life into that. Keep calling out to that. Keep drawing that in. Okay? So affirmations are your practical practice this week. Lil Homie pulled out 2. We have, who told you that was truth? And keep the promise you made to yourself. So who told you that was truth? Again, when you are shifting your mindset and working through these affirmations, I saw that truth word and I was like, okay, we're on to something. When you are speaking these affirmations and shifting your mindset, the things that might challenge the affirmations that you find, when that have you saying, oh, that's not connected to me. Who told you that was truth? Who told you that what's on your mind was the truth currently? Or who told you that, who told you that you're not enough as you are? Who told you, whatever it is that comes up to challenge these affirmations, start to unlock why you are thinking that way, why that is the way that, why that is the mindset that you have. As you are shifting your mindset, you got to break things down in order to build up something new. Okay? So feel free to dig into it, right? As you're customizing these affirmations to be the truth that is connected to you now, try to start to break down what is on your mind currently so that you have space for what's coming in. Okay? The other one was keep the promise you made to yourself. So for me, that I immediately hear the fasting. I immediately hear the scheduling, these things that I've kind of dropped the ball on. And then as I'm saying that, I hear, I lost it that fast, but it's essentially like, you're saying the fasting and you're saying the scheduling, but we also know that in this very conversation, we realize that maybe as you've been doing it is enough, right? And keeping the promise that you made to yourself might be maintaining that mindset, right? So really honing in on what that promise is. Maybe the fasting and the scheduling came up because I've been so rigid about those things, or wanting them to be fulfilled in a very specific way, or even the productivity to look a certain way, and understanding that my version is my version, and maintaining the promise I made to my original self will be being authentic and being fully in my version of these things, right? So which promise are we referring to? Right? The ultimate promise, the original promise, or these day-to-day ones that we're coming up with on the fly. Either is valid. If you made a promise to yourself, maintain that. Do what you got to do to keep it, right? The other, our meditation method that came up is let it come to you, okay? We don't need to be out here searching, looking, digging for everything. Some things are just meant to come to you as they're meant to come to you. Like we talked about being able to share what is shared and not worry about having all of it before I can share more, right? So what it says on the back of here, when you close your eyes, do you see black, or are there many different colors to see? This does require a little more effort on your part. You'll have to relax your facial muscles in stages. Just when you think you're as relaxed as you can be, you'll have just a bit more tension you can ease out of, especially around the eyes. You also want to make sure you're not trying to focus on anything that reveals itself. Don't try to make it clear, as that will create tension. Just let it reveal itself. Different colors, shapes, and patterns will appear. Just identify and let it pass. If you don't see much, don't worry. let your eyes relax again. If nothing comes, that's okay too. So the idea is that you are accepting, like we talked about, that flow, right? With those different fountains, allowing them to flow as opposed to stopping any one fountain from flowing because you think, oh, it's supposed to be a rush of water, right? No, let it come to you. Let the ideas and the insight and the information just come to you as it comes to you, and don't expect it to look a certain way. Don't require it to look a certain way before you can appreciate it or understand or work to understand it, or give it, pass it out to other people. If we're talking about being a producer, then produce. Let that production come to you. Let your creativity come to you. Let your ideas and projects come to you and come through you. Don't worry so much about it looking a certain way or being a certain way or presenting in a certain way. Just let it come to you. Let it come through you. Keep the promise that you made to yourself and understand who has told you that what you believe is true is true. How did you get there? So yeah, that's us for today. Thank you so much for joining me on today's clarity. It has been a pleasure. I thank you so much for sharing your energy with me. And until next time, love you. Bye.